Well, there you go. I mean, that went for 81. And by the way, that wasn't the benefit of a roll on turf. That went 70 plus in the air. Matt Araiza joining us on Extra 1360. Matt, Darren Smith, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's a pleasure. Nice to meet you. How's things?
Absolutely. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great. We are all in awe of your abilities out there. Is this unusual for you to be getting the kind of attention that you're getting? And I don't mean this. You're on some national shows. People are talking about you, tweeting about you. How you dealing with the newfound attention that you're getting?
Thank you very much. It's awesome. I'm just grateful for everything. It's pretty cool. A lot of the comments on Twitter make me laugh. People are really creative.
In what way? Give us an example.
Well, for example, Pat McAfee posted the video of the 81-yarder this past weekend, and tons of comments, and some of them were saying, this is just at elevation, or posting pictures of the stadium at elevation, and just an absolute army of San Diego State fans flooded the comments. Well, how about this 86-yarder at sea level, or how about this punt at sea level? It was awesome. That just cracked me up.
Yeah, Pat McAfee used a term I don't think that I could use on the air. Is that a familiar term for people who are in your position, Matt, that they use that term when you really, really get into one?
I had never heard that before, actually. So, no, I wouldn't say it's standard, but it was funny. I think the internet liked it.
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like this might be an opportunity now that players can capitalize on name, image, and likeness. You should sell some shirts in that regard.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Well, we'll have our people contact you after the interview. We'll see if we can collaborate on a deal. Matt,
okay.
It's been, like I said, it's I know it feels at 7-0. It feels, I'm sure that you're seeing such spotlight here. I'm sure you're probably going to say, hey, listen, we've got a great offense, we've got a great defense, obviously. Where does this come from? Take us back. Take us back to Rancho Bernardo High School. I mean, how do you discover that you have the skills that you have?
Well, I remember probably the first display of that was trying out for the freshman team. They kind of had open tryouts. You would go to whatever position group you wanted to try out for. And I remember the first time hitting a live kickoff, I hit a touchback, which is not common at all in freshman football. And all the coaches were kind of amazed, and they just wanted me to do it again and again to watch it. So I would say freshman football, I hit some pretty big balls for a 14-year-old, and that kind of got the ball rolling.
So as a freshman, as a 14-year-old, you're already capable on kickoffs of producing touchbacks.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
okay.
That wasn't from the 35 like it is in college and the NFL. That's from the 40.
Okay,
but
well, even still, yeah, I mean, 5 yards, of course. I mean, as a 14-year-old, still impressive. So that came first? Did the place kicking come first, the kickoffs come first, and then the punting? Give us the chronology of being able to handle both roles.
I would say the kickoffs came first. That's the easiest of the three. I would say in terms of it's mostly about your natural ability. So coming from a soccer background, hitting a ball far, that was something that came easy to me. Punting is definitely the most of a skill out of all of them. I would say field goal kicking is more about handling the pressure and handling the moment and owning it. But in terms of punting, it's a skill. Making a ball be able to spin like a quarterback threw it with your foot has taken years and lots of practice. And one of the things that makes me unique is I'm left-footed and right-handed, and in punting, you're supposed to drop the ball with the same side that you kick it with. So being able to drop with my non-dominant hand took me a long time to learn, and originally I was told I wouldn't be able to punt because of that, because that's the hardest thing about punting is really the drop. And it was just a big challenge learning to do it with my offhand.
That is fascinating. Is there any explanation for how you ended up being left-footed while being right-hand dominant?
Oh, no, I have no clue. I have a feeling that's a question for a geneticist or something like that, way above my pay grade.
Way above your pay grade. I'm sure that helped out in soccer a little bit too, right? Because everybody wants a big, powerful left foot. You could have been America's Lionel Messi here, Matt.
Oh, yeah, I wish. Maybe if some things happened differently. I definitely had a ton of fun in high school soccer and scored a ton of goals my senior year.
Matt Araiza joining us on Extra 1360, SDSU's punter and place kicker. here on Extra 1360, back-to-back weeks, special teamer of the week. And we see these highlight clips as well. Tell us what it's like. You mentioned elevation, right? And tell us, how much during warm-ups this past weekend. Did you really let it rip during warm-ups just to see, you hit an 81-yarder in the game, and that sucker traveled, I want to say 72 in the air. But did you let it rip up there at elevation?
Yeah, absolutely. In warm-ups, hit a couple balls that made me realize I could really take advantage of the situation, and went out there and realized we were on a pretty long field. We were backed up and kind of knew that, hey, I can hit this one as far as I want. I don't really have to worry about hitting a touchback. And I just let it rip, and it flew.
And was that about as far as it was going, 70 in the air, maybe 80 with a little bit of roll?
It went 75 in the air from the line of scrimmage from where I was standing. So we record punt stats from the line of scrimmage. So in terms of distance, when you hear someone hit a 40-yard punt, that's from the line of scrimmage, not from when they were standing. So from where I was standing, I want to say it was 84 in the air, then ended up netting 81 yards. So I got about a 6-yard roll.
How satisfying is that to be standing on your own goal line, backed up, and then completely, we always hear this term, flipping the field, but you're doing that from your own end zone. I mean, how satisfying must that be for you?
Oh, immensely satisfying. It's a huge momentum play in the game. I just found out this morning, I guess, ESPN puts up these statistics, the probability of each team winning the game, and it's live updated throughout the game. And on that one punt, our probability of winning went up 4%. So, I mean, talk about a momentum play. That shows field position is huge.
No doubt. The term outkick your coverage. I wonder your thoughts on that and if that's ever anything that's ever said. We've all heard this phrase, right? It doesn't just have to do with fellas who find themselves with much better looking women than they should be with. But in terms of the actual origins of the term, it comes from your position specifically. What does that mean for you, for a guy who's regularly booming them 50-plus, 60-plus, 70-plus yards?
Well, that's not really something you have to worry about here. We have ridiculous coverage. Our effort down the field and our game plans through our special teams coordinator and the work ethic we put in during the week, it shows on the field. We recently took over Rutgers as the #1 net punt in the country. So that's our main goal. A lot of people on Twitter mention my punt average, but I'd say the one that means the most to me is the net punt. So this includes the return from the returner. And Rutgers is a rugby style, which kind of frustrates me as a traditional punter because this style doesn't work in the NFL, but it's really dominant in college football. So they'll basically roll out to one side or the other, and they'll kick a ball that maybe goes 30 yards in the air and then rolls for another 20, and that gives the coverage team a lot of time to get down there. So basically eliminates return and gets you easy net yardages. So taking over them in a traditional style punt, it's just awesome, and it shows there's really no such thing as outkicking your coverage here at Sdsu.
All right, that sounds hopefully not like a challenge. I know exactly what you're saying, too, and everybody else does. When you see a punter roll out, what they basically want to do is just throw the ball down the field, right? They want to roll it down the field and have the coverage team surround the ball for as long as it's going to roll into the opposition side, right?
Exactly, yes.
And that's not you wouldn't call that cheating. You would just say what you do is a little bit more traditional, a little bit more true to the spirit of the position.
Yeah, it's definitely not traditional, but the fact that it's not done at the next level in terms of the NFL, I think that just kind of makes traditional punting, your stats mean a little bit more.
And then the field goal kicking. Who else on planet Earth is punting it for over 50 yards? He can hit 50-yard field goals as well. I mean, you're starting to have a little bit of chatter about you here, Matt. Like there are people who are already starting to think, here's a guy potentially at the next level in professional football who could potentially occupy one roster spot instead of two. I don't know how much of that conversation you're aware of, but I feel like it's already begun.
I appreciate that. I haven't seen too much of that, but I know it's an uncommon thing in college football, and it's something that I did in high school, and it's something that coming here was always a goal. But I had some great seniors in front of me when I was younger, and it kind of only got the opportunity to kick at first. But coming into the season this year, it was a big goal of mine to be able to handle all three, the field goal kicking, the punting, and the kickoffs, and just happy with the way everything's been going. I love being more involved in the game.
And speaking of being more involved in the game, it's not like you sit back there and admire your work, right? You're not a home run hitter who sits and pimps the homer. You're running down there. You're part of that coverage that you're talking about as well. How many tackles do you have on the season?
I have 4 tackles, I believe, 2 on kickoff and 2 on punt.
2 on kickoff, 2 on punt. And for you, of all the satisfying things that you get to do, where does that rank?
Oh, that's a tough question. That's up there. I would say over 50-yard field goal in a close game is up there. I would say 80-yard punts up there, and then tackles. That's kind of the elite's best feeling in a game.
You got Fresno State upcoming this weekend. It's the battle for the old oil can, Saturday night, back at sea level against a really, really good team. Again, given the weapon that you have become, Matt Araiza, you got a quick thought for us heading into a rivalry game on Saturday night?
I'm just excited. It has huge implications for the conference championship, and that's our goal here. That's what we do everything for. That's why 8 months ago when we started off-season workouts, that was our goal. That's what got us up in the morning. That's what drove us. And, our goal here is to not let anything get in our way. It doesn't matter who we play. If they're in our way of winning a conference championship, we're going to go out there and beat them. Would
you prefer not to punt in a game? You know what I mean? Like big picture, like thinking about what that might mean for the team. You know what I mean? Like as good as you are, and I speak for myself. I think I speak for a lot of people, Matt Araiza. I love watching you play.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But offensively speaking, would you rather that you weren't called on the punt at all?
So I've been waiting for someone to ask me that question. I haven't been asked that yet. It's a very good question, and yes, in a perfect world, our offense goes out there and doesn't get stopped once, and we beat every team by 50. But I have to understand, and part of my mental preparation is wanting to go out there. So that's also more true for a field goal kicker, right? You'd rather get the 7 points than the 3, but I can't be running on the field going, oh man, I have to hit a field goal now. We didn't get a touchdown, So I have to be excited. So deep down, I do know that if I never went on the field, we would probably win games by a lot more points, but that's just not the reality of a competitive league like we're in.
Right. What you'd rather do is go out there and hit seven extra points, right, to get to close to that 50. That would be a nice, satisfying night for you.
Or even the offense getting 7 2-point conversions.
By the way, why are they trying to take away all the kicking in overtime games now? I don't understand it.
I'm not sure. I think it's in the name of player safety, but if that's the case, why don't we just do a kicking one-on-one, put the ball at like the 40 and see which kicker can hit a 57-yarder first?
I like our chances. What's the longest field goal that you've ever hit in your life, practice or otherwise?
That's probably back to high school days with a jet stream wind and an overinflated ball. I want to say I hit one 72 or something like that at Rancho Bernardo.
72, like in a game or practice?
No, that was in practice.
Okay, all right. How about in a game?
In a game, my career record so far is 53.5. Something that most people don't know is our field goal protection is based off being the hold being 7.5 yards away from the line of scrimmage. So more often than not, the field goals that I'm hitting are on a half. But it seems like in the records and with everyone announcing, they always round it down instead of rounding it up.
Again, the plight of your position. Matt, congratulations. All the attention that you are getting here has been well-deserved. I don't know if you heard it during the highlight or if you go back and watch these games, but when you can make a former NFL offensive lineman go, geez, as the ball is apexing in the air in Colorado Springs, that tells us all we need to know about how great you have been. Thank you for doing this. Good luck Saturday night against Fresno State, and hopefully they don't need you, but for extra points and field goals. But we'll love watching you either way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.